Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Alyssa and I am very excited to close out the first half of January's budget, the 1st through the 14th of 2023. Now, I did have a viewer on Instagram actually DM me and ask if I could do a step-by-step sort of walkthrough of closing out the budget. So I'm going to show you exactly my process for closing out the first half of January, and then at the end of January I will do a full month closeout video step by step, and hopefully it will help you kind of close out your budget, especially if you're new to the Budget Mom. It took me a few months to really get the hang of this, so I will do my best to walk through it slowly. Of course, if you have any additional questions, leave them in the comment below and I will try to address them on the video at the end of the month when we close out everything. So how I close out basically the first half of the month is I have all of my expenses here. So you can see all of the expenses are going to be within the withdrawal category. All of the income that I've received is going into the deposit category. And then I take my budget category worksheet and I actually write out all of the categories here. And then I have a highlighter that's basically color coordinated to each category. So this is called the highlighter method. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to go through and highlight all of the grocery category pink, all of the eating out blue, and so on and so on, and then I will tally it all up. So I like to highlight everything first, and then at the end I will go through and calculate everything to make sure I don't miss anything. And then what I do after that is we go back to the budget and close everything out that way and see how much we would be transferring over, which is actually zero. I do try to have $0 at the end of every month. I found that it's just so much easier when my bank account is at zero before my next paycheck hits, and then things are not getting wonky, numbers aren't messed up. I just find that the zero works for me. May not work for you, and that's okay. Whatever works, works. But that's what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go take the pink category and I'll walk you through this. If you already know how to do this, go ahead and skip to the timeline below and you can go to the actual closing out of the budget. But for example, we've got Winco here. I spent $90 at Winco. I had a date and we made dinner together and I bought all the food and stuff, and so that's why the expense was really high. Don't worry, it didn't work out, so it's okay. So we got grocery going down here. We got another Winco for $40.14. I'm not very good at highlighting, so please don't judge me there. And I think that's all of the grocery we've had for the month. And then we'll put the pink highlighter over here, and we got to take the blue highlighter and do all of the eating out. Now this, my friends, is quite a lot because I know I went way over my eating out budget. I did have minimal expenses this month. I actually normally fill up about a page and a half, but I only filled up a page and maybe a third, a quarter, if that. But I did have a lot of eating out this month. I'm not upset about it. I mean, I enjoyed all the things that I ate. Could I have been a little bit better at not eating out so much? Yes, but it is what it is, and I try not to dwell too much on really anything for that matter, especially when it comes to going over budget on things. I did not put anything on a credit card, I had enough money. Some of this stuff I put on my Alaska Airlines card, and then I just basically made a payment from my debit card for each of these numbers. But I didn't have anything accruing, if that makes sense, onto the credit cards there. So I think I've got all of the eating out here. And then I'm gonna go through, highlight the rest of this, and then we'll calculate it together.
Aren't you tired of the drama? You use your words like they are knives. I don't need that type of drama and trying to be tough all the daytime. You try to make yourself feel better by taking me down. Once I fell, but now I'm strong. I'm ready for the rematch. Shoot me down, don't you know I get up?
Okay, so now that we have all of the expenses highlighted, I've got all my categories highlighted here based off my budget category worksheet. The next step is to add up basically all of the colors together based on the category, and then write the total amount here based on the color. So for example, we've got grocery, 90.58 right here, and then we also have grocery right here, 40.14. Total is 130.72. Now normally I double check it, but actually we will double check it together because sometimes I miss a number or I do it wrong. Yep, I always double check it all. So grocery, and then if you don't have highlighters, I highly recommend you buy some. I will link it in my Amazon storefront below. The highlighters I have were like less than $10 on Amazon, 100% worth it. These erasable pens are less than $6 or $7 on Amazon. You get a 3-pack, and I actually just bought some of them in this color too, or different colors. So it's all linked in the store below if you're interested. I get like a very, very small commission if you order through the link. If you don't order through it, totally fine. Please don't worry about it. Find the ones that will work for you. Okay, but back to the calculating of expenses. So the next we've got eating out, 7.65 plus 91, what? 0.05, that's right. I did spend a chunk of money there. My sister and her boyfriend were in town, and I ended up just buying them lunch while they were here. There was a weird thing that happened that we can talk about later, but essentially with my expenses from the end of December, because it was a Friday, it was the 30th, and you had New Year's Eve, and you had New Year's, and you had the New Year's Day observed on that Monday. So the banks didn't process my payments or any of the transactions for like 4 days. So closing out my December budget was like a huge fiasco. And then what ended up happening the first week of January is basically my account was overdrawn because I had moved everything that I was supposed to be paid on in the beginning of January. I had moved out of the account. So it overdrew itself, and I got charged a bunch of overdraft fees. They ended up refunding it to me, but all the numbers worked out, but it was just super wonky. I forget how I got to this. Oh, because I bought them lunch before New Year's, or maybe it was on New Year's. I don't remember, but anyhow. And I totally forgot where we were at. So we're gonna start over. 7.65 plus 91.05 plus 43.48 plus 18.78 plus 13.02 plus 7.65 plus 22.02 plus 7.47 plus 10.89 gives us, woo, very high, 22.01. I'm gonna double check that really fast. Okay, perfect. So I double checked it. Eating out is correct. Gas and car, the only one I have is actually 37.56. I was gonna fill up my tank on the 15th, so I wrote it here as a upcoming expense because I knew I was gonna get it, and then I ended up doing it in the second half of January's budget, so we're not really gonna worry about that today. But the only expense there is the $37.56 for gas. So I'm gonna go through, calculate everything, and then we'll start closing out the actual budget. Okay, so now that we have all of the budget categories calculated based on the expenses on this side here, I did double check the ones that needed to be double checked, so hopefully that it is accurate. But now what we need to do is go back to the budget that we had set up at the beginning of the month together. We're not including the bonus check here. We can close that out in the near future, probably when we actually close out the entire month of January, since the money I had budgeted for that, which is in this budget here, it all went exactly to this. So we'll just include that in the end of the month's budget here. But for closing out basically the 2 weeks that I had this budget for, we'll start with the income. So we need to double check that all this income was correct. The paycheck that we had come in, $16.51 was correct, $5.62 for side hustles, and $3.30. We're gonna leave off the 28 cents for the paycheck. So we had $16.51. Plus we had $3.30 for payback from actually my job, and then $5.62 from side hustles. Now I should probably leave a little marker here. Did we have any other income Nope, no other deposits, so that's great. So we were right on target. I'm not even gonna get the calculator. 2543. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky, is when we do the fixed expenses. So remember, even fixed expenses are included in these categories here. So we might have to do a little bit of math to kind of determine kind of how the majority of what everything was. So with rent, I did put the $400 towards rent here, but it also is included in the budget category with utilities. So for calculating utilities, we actually need to take the $568.31, which was the total amount for rent and utilities category, minus the $400, and gives us $168.31. And that's actually what it's gonna be. We're just gonna write 168 for the utilities. So that is $110 over budget. Our heating or electricity bill was way, way higher than we had expected it to be. Normally it's like $20, $30 each, and it was $60 each. Plus my roommate, she didn't like Venmo request us last month, so everything from last month went into this month as well. So it was like double paying, so that's why it was so high. Thankfully, I was able to cash flow that, no problem at all, but that's where that number came from. Life insurance and pet insurance, it did come out as we had predicted, 37 and 22. I do round up for the life insurance and down for pet. It evens itself out. So that is all correct. And then we have the student loan. I did make that payment, actually included it into savings, which I might do that a little bit different. I might change that, but we're just gonna keep it as savings right now, 125. That is correct. Acorns. Now Acorns, for this fixed expenses for me, we are only looking at the transactions that was $20. So I believe I actually only had one. The story I told earlier about the overdraft, the Acorns did not take money from my account because I was overdrafted. So I missed a week there, which is fine. I'm not really gonna sweat it. So it was only $20. And then the other investments is actually gonna come down here, and we'll calculate that in a second. Therapy, it did end up being $25. That's my copay. So we will have to get the calculator back out and calculate the total fixed expenses for the first half of January. Now we're at budget at $838, but it's obviously going to be higher with the utilities piece. Actually, it may not be, because the indoor soccer I ended up not having to pay for. The team's not coming back this season, hopefully in the next season. So we got 400 plus 22 plus 37 plus 168 plus 125 plus 20 plus 25 is actually 797. Now we need to take that amount and subtract it from the total monthly inflows. We had 2543 minus 797, or I guess it should be total 2 weeks inflow. Anyhow, $1,746 left over for the rest of the budget here. So for groceries, this one is just gonna be exactly whatever we calculated here. I'm gonna round up and say 131. I do like to round up, I don't know why, I just do. Eating out, it's gonna be exactly what we have in this category, 222. I think we can leave that penny off on this one, 222. Gas and car was under budget at $38. We're going to put here. Now investments, I said we were gonna come back to this. So if we go to the total amount of investments that we had calculated with the highlighter method, it's 32.06. But remember, we had already included $20 up in the Acorns section of the fixed expenses. So we do need to subtract that $20 from the 32, which gives us about $12 that we put towards investment. Fun and entertainment was, let's double check. In the next budget, if we do the highlighter method together, you'll see there'll be a lot more yellows because I have my Peacock and Spotify that's included in fun and entertainment. But since I didn't have any fun and entertainment included in fixed expenses, I was supposed to have the indoor soccer, but that ended up falling through, so I don't have an expense for that. If I did, it would have been highlighted yellow, but I would need to subtract whatever was fun and entertainment from this amount to then put down here in this category, because you've already calculated it up here. You don't need to double include it, because that just wouldn't make sense. Why would you double pay for something? Then your numbers are going to be off. So fun entertainment, 60, I'm going to round up $62 here. And I did have a holiday expense. I did have a last minute gift I needed to buy. So that's going to be $24. Now for self-care, this is actually going to be $0, even though I have $25 written here. I actually count my therapy as part of self-care, and I already calculated that expense up here. Something I could do, and if you're getting confused by all of these sort of like, I don't know, categories and highlighters, is highlighting these expenses the correct color. And so you know to subtract this from this amount over here. Hopefully you're tracking. I know it's complicated. This is probably the hardest part that it took me to get, was to not double count things and what really made sense. Miscellaneous is just gonna be whatever I have over here. Oh, $50 even. Okay, perfect. I did like a GoFundMe thing that I donated for somebody I went to high school with, and then I had a copay from a medical appointment, actually from last year. Travel and vacation was nothing, and pets was nothing, and we can just confirm that from memory. Yes, yes. Okay, so to calculate the variable expenses, we've got 131 plus 222 plus 38 plus 12 plus 62 plus 24 plus 50 gives us 539. Almost exactly what I had budgeted, but it all worked out very differently than we had predicted. And then if we take the 1746 minus 539, gives us $1,207 left over for up here. Now I need to double check because I think I put a little extra towards a house savings. I think I did it twice. I put an extra, how much is that? 30 plus 13 is $43. And I don't believe I actually had a category for this. So we did put 43, and the rest I put exactly as I had predicted. Normally I write this down. I think I was just a little like overwhelmed with the whole overdraft situation, but this is exactly what I put towards everything. So it's pretty much $562 plus the $43 that I wasn't anticipating. It's gonna be $605. Now if we take the 605 minus the 1207, so 1207 minus 605 gives us 602 left over. Now if we go over to this side, how much did we put towards debt? 603, which is honestly almost perfect. So technically we are like over budget by $1, -1, but I'm gonna honestly count that from all of the rounding up that I did, and it's pretty much gonna be a wash. So that's how I close out basically each budget period, is just basically looking back and forth at my expenses, writing in when all the bills came out. If it's variable bills like utilities for me, I have to wait till the end when I calculate everything. But some of these other fixed expenses, I don't mind writing in when they come out, just so it double checks me. Sinking funds, I normally write in when I make the transfer, but I forgot this time. But everything else worked out really, really well. Super happy I was able to put $605 towards sinking funds. 603, actually 330 of this was from a payback, but I put almost about $270 towards debt, which I just have a little bit left on my Discover card. I'm waiting actually for Ticketmaster to get their crap together to pay out my money from selling tickets, and that covers well over the balance of the Discover card. It's just really a pain in the butt process to get these funds. I'm honestly so irritated with them. Anyhow, that's a personal problem there. But yeah, so hopefully that was helpful, and then in a couple of days I'll have the second half of January budget setup video. I'll be starting again with $0, doing the same thing again, but with different bills, different variable expenses in terms of like the amount that I'm budgeting for, and that's exactly what I do. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what questions you have in the comment section below. I really, really, really appreciate all of you watching. Hit the subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video real soon. Bye!
You should know you're looking at a self-made woman.